Aussie gem hunter Nasiv here. How we going, guys? We're doing something a little bit different today. I just thought I'd show you a little bit of surface digging, believe it or not. So I'm out in the bush. We're going to have a little look at how to find some sapphires if you're just a prospector. So not only are we going to do a little bit of surface digging, I'm going to show you basically just the tools you're going to need, the bare minimum, and then if you want to experience a little bit more and you get digging a little bit more, what you can do to increase the amount of volume you can put through. Yeah, that's basically how I just started. So yeah, stay tuned. We're going to go through the whole lot. Okay, so this is all the gear that I've got, you know. Hand trommel version, because you're not allowed to use any electric digging equipment. Just so you're just going to be pick and shovel today, and then all of that gear will help me process a bit more equipment, and we'll get it all set up. But really, the only thing you need is this. That's it. 2 sieves, and they come as a pair. You know, the top one's a bigger mesh, the under one's a smaller mesh, and it's 3mm and 5mm. So 3mm on the bottom, 5mm on the top, and I'll show you how to process everything just with this. You don't need all of that. Common misconception is you need a whole bunch of gear to go sapphire fossicking. You don't. You just need some sieves, and a bit of water does help, but you just need sieves. So let's get at it. Okay, so first rule, if you see a bucket like that turned upside down, generally it means no digging, you know. So if you see one of those in a hole like this, it just means no digging, because that's somebody's spot. On the flip side, if it's been there like weeks or months and there's been nobody here or doing anything, you know, you can't expect to sort of keep your spot. But if you do come back like once every couple of days or 4 or 5 days or so, you know, you should be able to leave a bucket, turn it upside down, put a rock on it, and then nobody comes into your spot. So that's number one rule. Like, you don't jump on other people's spots. Okay, so they're called claim jumpers. You can't do that. And definitely if it has a white post. So if it has a post on it, a white post like that, that's somebody's claim, and you cannot go into those posts. So you really shouldn't be on top of somebody's claim either. Yeah, don't go near anybody's claim. It's bad juju. You won't get sapphire. It's actually a lie. But, you know, it's actually illegal. So you can't, by law, you can't just jump on somebody's claim and start digging. They've paid for it. You know, like, it's a bit of a Wild West out here. I definitely wouldn't do it. Safety first, guys. Safety first. You will need a prospecting permit, and I'll explain a bit more of that later on. But you do need to purchase one from a mines department, I believe. Anyway, all right. So let's show you a bit more. Yeah, we need to find a spot. So a little bit of test digging, and we're going to see how we go. Okay, so a little bit of digging. I don't think we've done any good. I'll just show you what we got. Okay, so we've dug down a little bit. There's no real rock in it. We'd expect a lot more of that kind of stuff. You know, a lot more rock, a lot more of that stuff. And we just hit decomposing granite. So that's a little how it looks. You know, we just hit a layer of that. It could be a false layer, so we'll have to dig a little bit more. But yeah, I'd expect a lot more rock, you know, or a nice little band of rock through it before we commit to, you know, opening a massive big hole up and getting into it. So we'll see how we go. Yeah, so test spot 1, bit of a bust. That's our decomposing granite there, and nothing. Could be a false layer, but could be a false layer. I'm just not prepared to punch through it, spend 20 minutes digging it and then find there's nothing there. So I'm just going to go to another spot and just pick another spot and have a dig and see what happens. I am going to fill in the hole too, so I'm just going to fill in the hole, make sure there's nothing that anybody could put a foot in and bust their ankles. Okay, so it's kind of hard to see. This is what I'd more likely expect. That big rock there was sitting onto the clay layer here, and there's a heap of fine gravels. So, like wet river worn stuff. Like we'll do a bit of a dig there. So see those gravels and stuff mixed amongst everything. That's a better look at what we're doing. So yeah, what we're going to do is I'm going to grab some of this stuff and I'm going to show you basically, what to do. If we had days on days, we'd break this stuff up, wait for the sun to do its work, and then it just turns into powder, right? After a little bit of time in the sun, and you stepped on it and that sort of thing, and then it's a lot easier to process. You get a lot less clay, a lot less rubbish, and the sapphires really stand out. But we don't have the time, so we've just got to get digging. Now, I did say before, all you need is a sieve. And it's pretty much right. The sieves are only like $80. I think you can get them online. I think I saw them in the store, the Ruby Vale store there, and I think they're like $80. So, barrier for entry is pretty low, especially if you just want to come out with the family, get a pick, have a bit of a dig, have a bit of a scratch around, and who knows, right? Who knows? So hopefully you get lucky today. But I'll just show you what to do. And I'm just going to use my hands and be a bit of a feral for 10 minutes. So let's get into it. Yeah, so that just gets thrown into here. And obviously we're going to do this with the shovel later. Bit of a mix up. You take all the big hunks of dirt. You can either crush them up like that, but see here there's very little rock. All it is just dirt in that, and that's the bit of clay. Just throw that out. Throw the big throw the big rocks out. Give it another little mix up. Get the bigger stuff out, and you'll see sapphire at that stage. Like if you get a sapphire out of this stuff, you'll just see it. It'll stand out, But see that just needs to be loosened up a little bit, and you can just rub it like that. I'd say wear gloves, but I'm not really a gloves guy. So, just take all the big bits of clay that are not doing much. We're just getting all that material in there. Give it a rub. And away you go. Okay. Let's see how much rubbish is coming down. That's pretty much like my trommel. So then we're left with another little bit that you can pick through like at this stage, but you're better off just making sure that everything's crushed up. All that sand is out, and you normally do it obviously in a little spot like that, and just keep going. That gets put into there. Give it a shake. Get rid of all the rubbish, and you obviously see how much rubbish is getting spat out. Anyway, let's get at it. Okay, so let's have a look at what we got. That's our first little go of things, and then I'll just show you what to look for. We're going to flip this thing upside down, and then we'll have a look. It's going to be a bit hard to do, but one-handed. So we go back and forth like that to center everything here. Spin it 180, or I should say 90, spin it 90, do the same. Give it a couple little flicks, and you can just keep on pulling that big stuff out, right? And then fill it again and go again and again. But just for the sake of the video, we're going to take that off. That's all of our fines. That's all of our bigs. We flick it up and towards ourselves and on the ground. And no sapphires. You need sun. You do need sun to see sapphires, because they'll just look like pieces of glass, you know, but there's no sapphire there. What we will do is we will wash it, you know, and if you're going to look for sapphire, you normally break off the edges first and get towards the middle later. That looks like all right wash, and that's our fines. And people can just look through them, you know, while it's still in the sieve, because you're not going to lose anything then. But, you know, most of that's dirt. We've only got a few little rocks in there. You don't really see, there's no real ironstone in there at the moment. So, you know, you just keep on repeating that process. So now I'm going to show you with a little bit of water. We're going to get a little bit of water out. It's going to be a hell of a lot better than just doing a dry sieve. I, you know, sort of explained this is how you do it. If you didn't want to bring any water out, you're just testing a hole to see if there's any ironstones, see if there's anything good out there. But what we're going to do is we're going to drag a bit of water out here, and then just and have a bit of more of a dig. I am going to do like 2 or 3 buckets first, and just fill the buckets, and then sort of get them into the sieves and do all that sort of thing after. So let's do a little bit of processing. Okay, so after the wash has been dug away from the material, you do need to stand on it. So, you know, or break it up somehow. And you can see me just crushing basically the dirt and the in between those between the wash. You'll notice that, you know, it's pretty well stuck together. You are digging 60 million year old riverbed, so, you know, standing on it and crushing it up and getting the dirt out and the clay and breaking it up loosens the sapphire if they're stuck in and around there. So that's a super important job. You know, everybody can dig like crazy, but you've got to break that material up. And I just stand on mine, you know, and just make sure it's all broken up. So obviously throw it in the sieve, and then sort of stratify it. So we're just trying to get rid of as much soil as we possibly can, and because obviously we don't want to wash the soil, you know, because it's just going to make a mess of your dirt, your water, I should say. The dirt's going to make a mess of your water. So yeah, get rid of as much dirt as you can. So that's my process that I'm doing right now, and yeah, let's keep on going. Okay, so we've got our material. You know, I'm just going to throw some of the larger stuff out. Just big hunks of dirt like that. Obviously there's going to be no sapphire on them. We've stratified it. Let's go see if we get a sapphire out of it. Yeah, super lucky if we do. Oh, so there's a bit of dirt and clay and all that sort of stuff still left in there. You know, you can keep on going and going and going. You keep on going and going and going, but we're just going to wash it to give you guys a bit of an example of what it's going to look like when it's got water.
Yeah. So now you can just hear me basically bouncing the sieve up and down. And it's just a straight up and down motion. All you need to do is you pulsate it up and down, and you'll find that all the heavies sink to the bottom, and sapphires, they're heavy form, so it's going to sink to the bottom. Yes, you just bounce it basically up and down. That's what I'm doing here. Very simple, very easy. I know people do, a few twists and turns, but that's all you need to do is bounce those sieves up and down.
Okay, so we need the sun to show us the sapphires, and that's the material here. That's a piece of ironstone, so you can see how it's darker, and it's in the middle here where all the material was, or the dark. We expect a sapphire. So we'll just have a look through. And I'd be super surprised if I got a sapphire on my first go. It'd be a pretty rich piece of ground, because we've only done one sieve full, So yeah, you just keep on repeating that process. So that's the big lot. At the moment, so nothing's really gleaming out, but like if you started a little bit later in the afternoon, we'd be able to see a little bit better. But as a professional trained eye, or semi-professional trained eye, there's nothing there. Like we're looking for all the darks and heavies that would get pushed into the middle here, and there's nothing. You can see like a lot of quartz and stuff. So yeah, we'll just have to keep going. There's a little bit of a darker stone. So yeah, it's only 2 handfuls or 4 handfuls out of like a whole entire day. You've got to move a lot of dirt. So like when I'm up the top there, I'm talking about wheelbarrow after wheelbarrow. Out here it's the same thing. You've got to just shift the dirt to get the sapphire. So I better get busy and show you how to shift more dirt. Okay, so you can see this is a Willoughby, and it's just going to help us wash more material faster, so we're not breaking our backs the whole entire time. Just got a little V at the bottom, so that stand looks like that. The post that comes up, a little spring, a handle to work, and I'll show you how that works. So, no sapphire yet. There's a piece of ironstone there, an ironstone there, an ironstone there. So yeah, no piece of glass yet. And we just check through it like that again. And just keep on repeating the process. Willoughby makes it so much easier. And see how much the little fines are left. You know, that's basically we're going to see our first sapphire. The Willoughby makes everything so much faster and easier. Really is a lifesaver. Okay, the reason why we do this, and I didn't explain it properly, is the reason why we bounce this up and down like this in the water is all the heavy material, which is sapphires, are going to sink all the way to the bottom of the sieve and therefore be concentrated in the middle here as well. So as that up and down motion, the sapphires are heavy, they sink down to the bottom of the sieve here. And we're just going to need to make sure we wash this properly so we can see the sapphire at the end of things. Pick it up. That's our smalls. We'll do 5, 6, maybe even 7 of those before we get to that. Then normally with 2 hands, pick this up, turn it over, open it up, and as you can see, that heavy material is right here, ironstone and so have you. Normally we put that in the sun so we can see a bit better, but when you start, you just break the edges away to see if there's any sapphires trapped in the corners, and then you get to the middle here and that's a piece of ironstone, and that's another piece of ironstone. That looks close to a sapphire, see, you know, and especially in poor light, and that's ironstone as well, so that's a good indicator. Now that if it's held up to the sun, we won't be able, oh, dropped it. Ah, it's lost to the ether. Oh, no, there it is. You won't be able to see through that. Let's get a bit of sun on it. See how that's just a black, super dark black rock. There's no real shine to it. And then if we hold it up to the sun, you won't be able to see anything through it. The sapphire, normally 9 times out of 10 you see through it, or if it's a star sapphire you'll see a glow, a bronzy hue to it. Yeah, you'll see a bronzy hue to it, and that's a good indicator because that's a heavy, you know, and we need a bit of sun. So basically that's my little platform that I'm working from. Now let's just try this, because I've done one bucket, which is nowhere near a wheelbarrow. Let's just center all this material. And all we've done is run not even a bucket worth of material. So there's our material there. Not even a bucket of material. Let's just see if we get super lucky. We'll get some sun. And the same process, up and over. Normally you do it with 2 hands. And nothing. Well, you know, I didn't expect much. Oh, there's zircon. Look at that. There you go. That's a zircon. See that? It just sticks right out. Beautiful and clear. I didn't expect a zircon. Look at that. And then hold it up to the sun. That's a zircon, look. So it's our first little bit of today. It gives me confidence there's going to be some more things and stuff. And we're going to get a retirement plan going. But yeah, so there's the dark material here. They're not sapphires, but that's a good indicator that we've got. This is a great little indicator, a little zircon. You know, they're heavier than sapphires. I'm going to come back when there's more sun and have another look at it. But that's a good little start. That sun's crazy. So yeah, we've got the Willoughby. Now I'll show you the piece of resistance to really up the ante. So we've gone from just the sieves to, you know, sieves with water. Then Willoughby makes everything faster and easier. And now we'll show you what, if you're really into it and you really get stuck into it, what you need to buy. If you're just going to come out here casually and do a little bit of prospecting, you know, this thing here really does improve things a lot. Of course, that's our bad boy. So that's our hand trommel. We're going to crank that little end, you know, the material goes into there, gets separated, all the dirt. So you can see I've just done a little bit, little dirt's there, all the big rocks are there. And then we put a bucket under there and then that collects our rocks. So let's have a crack at it. Yeah, rightio. So you can see how the sand's just dropping out of that, and it's obviously you need to crush your material first. So I stand on my material, so it's all broken up. So you've got chance that that soil and you know, the fine bits of clay are going to drop through the mesh, and you can see the stones just filling that white bucket. It's pretty easy, clockwise direction, super slow. Doesn't need to be fast, you know, 20 revolutions a minute, or 15 to 20 revolutions a minute, and you know, it will separate everything for you. You don't have to shake anything, and away you go, just all the good stuff in the bucket. That's what we've ended up with. Pretty much just rock. You know, there is a lot of material and soil in there, and if I was stepping on the material a bit more, we'd get a little bit more rock and a little bit less dirt. And if the hole size here was bigger, you know, that's a 3 mil, maybe even a 2 mil mesh, I can't remember. I think it's a 3 mil mesh, you know, and you just get a lot more material. You know, these little bits here, you know, they're going to get, you know, a good size sapphire, you know, like that's, you know, that'd be a 15 to 20 carat sapphire, you know, if it was a sapphire. So that's easy passes through that. You're never going to miss it. And if you're here for the day, you know, or 2 days, you'll find the big sapphire back here, and that's a piece of ironstone there. That's a heavy indicator. Yeah, it's got a little bit hotter. Jacket's off. I've only been going for about an hour, you know, or around about that sort of thing, but I've been filming quite a lot, so let's not count that. I'll just show you something that I found and what I'd like to see when it comes down to wash, in this area at least anyway. You know, must stress it's just in this area. We're at the bottom of a divide at the moment, and there is like a clay layer that things get stuck on. That's the first layer, and then further down there's another layer and it has deco. So normally my videos I'll say decomposing granite's the floor, and it is, but in this area there's clay and then it's not penetrating, the sapphires aren't penetrating that clay, but there is 2 layers of wash, and we're just going to dig the first layer of wash today, because getting down to that actual deco can take some work. It can be up to, you know, 4 foot or so. So we're just going to take that top layer and fingers crossed there's something in it. But I'll just show you what we've got going on now. Looks like dirt, doesn't it? But if you have a close look, it's not a billy, but it is a rock, you know, like there's a rock there and there's other rocks packed hard up on there, and you can see where the floor is just here. You know, it's got rock in it. I've just uncovered that little bit of dirt there, and I've been working, you know, through here as well. So I've just broken that first layer, surface layer off. So there's that grass first layer here, and you can see it just there. I'm going to be shadowing in the way, obviously, like a lunatic. So that first layer through there is just dirt, and then it hits wash after that. I'll have a couple of picks at it, and then I'll bring you back. So I just took one pick at it, and you can see there's a bit of clay on the bottom there, and then rocks through here, and it's all tightly packed, and that's what we want to see of any sort of riverbed. And then We want to see deco after that when we get through that layer. So that's actually like clay in the bottom, which is a good sign. I want the wash to be a bit thicker though, but you can tell the difference between the pick there and the sound of the pick there. And then we get into that clay layer. I want to take a tiny touch of clay because I don't want any sapphires that have been bedded into that clay to be lost. I want them. Okay, that's a bit of better vision of it. That's our clay in there, and you know, if it's got material like that in it, you've got to dig it. See that rock? It's got material like that. You need to scrape it and dig it so you get all of that in there. And that's our base layer. That's a little billy that I chopped, you know, and hard packed gravels, just like a river would be, you know, like all stuck in hard like that. And you can see it here, you know, like all that hard packed material. We want all that up and scrape the floor, dig the floor out. It's the most important part. And then bing bong bang, sapphire. All right, check out the fruits of our labour today. Yeah, we're right there. Blue in the hand.
Good size.
Yeah, it's not a bad little size. And that's the fruits of our labour today.
With a kid blowing up in the background.
Let's check it out. It's actually not bad. Come on, son.
I gave it to you.
Look at that. So that'll give Zane something to take home.
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
Yeah, so there's 2 for the day. 2 colours for the day. What do you reckon?
Yeah, that's a beautiful colour.
Yeah.
Nice little light blues through the outside.
Yep. And fun for the whole family up until about 15 minutes ago. Hey? There's Zane working hard.
Yeah,
Look at him go.
got the bug for it, mate, eh?
Yeah.
Bloody good day.
Yeah, so different areas have different wash. If you want to see me go to a couple of different areas, let me know in the comments. And I'll organise it, obviously. There's the willows. There's 3 or 4 different areas that we can go to, and I can show you what the wash looks like. And obviously you've seen the wash underground. If you haven't, check out my other videos and you can see, me digging out some sapphires.